And welcome back to The Takeout. Protests in Minnesota and across the country are continuing following last week's deadly ICE shooting. We're joined now by Virginia Democratic Congressman James Walkinshaw. Congressman, thank you very much for being here. I understand that you stopped by an ICE protest over the weekend. I'm curious what you heard there.
That's right. This weekend, thousands of my constituents in Virginia lined the streets to protest the brutality that we've seen from ICE and from Trump's mass deportation agenda. They want to see an end to the chaos, the recklessness, the violence that this mass deportation agenda is bringing to communities around the country.
And there have been some Democrats who say that they want to withhold funding for the Department of Homeland Security over this. I'm curious where you stand. As you well know, government funding runs out at the end of this month. Would you support withholding funding from the agency?
I'm fighting for language in that funding bill that will rein in not just ICE, but CBP and other federal law enforcement agencies involved in immigration enforcement. And yes, if I'm not satisfied and don't get the restrictions that I think are necessary, I'm willing to vote against funding of that particular bill.
And what kind of restrictions specifically are you hoping for?
Well, we need to see first an end to the masking. We need to see an end to the unconstitutional detention and arrest of American citizens. We need to see much better training and guidance for ICE agents and CBP agents. If you watch some of these videos, including the video of the shooting of Renee Good, it's clear that a lot of these guys don't know what the hell they're doing out there because they've only received 6 weeks of training in some cases. So there's a lot that we need to do. I'm hopeful we can make some progress in the funding bill that's coming up.
And speaking of legislation on Congress, just to switch gears here, as you know, the House, including yourself, voted for an extension of those Obamacare premium subsidies for 3 years. That appears to be going nowhere in the House. But I'm curious, any conversations you've been having with fellow lawmakers about the path forward to address rising health care costs? Where do things go from here?
That's right. After months and months of dogged effort from House Democrats, we got enough Republicans on the discharge petition to force a vote on that 3-year extension, passed with a, I think, stronger than expected bipartisan margin, 17 Republicans in the House joining Democrats. The Senate should take that bill up and pass it and put it on the president's desk. You're right. It doesn't look like Senate Republican leadership is willing to do that. They're now on the, I think, 16th year of trying to come up with the Republican alternative to the Affordable Care Act, the Republican health care plan. They haven't been able to come up with it in 16 years. I don't think they're going to come up with it this week or this month. They should pass a clean extension of the tax credits. And then if they need another 16 years to debate amongst themselves about their health care plan, they can go about their business and try to do that.
A lot of Republicans say that the 3-year extension is just a non-starter, that they want to see more reforms to the healthcare system. Would you be supportive of maybe a shorter, more temporary extension coupled with some reforms? Would you be open to something like that?
I would vote for a shorter extension of the tax credits with reforms, as long as those reforms don't do damage to the program and damage to the tax credits that thousands of my constituents rely on. So I guess it depends what you or those Republicans mean by reforms. I think it's important to note Republicans haven't been able to decide amongst themselves what these reforms are that they could support. So they haven't been able to bring anything forward and put it on the table in a serious way. Unless they can do that, they need to get behind a clean extension.
And the big news today, obviously, is the Justice Department's apparent investigation into Jerome Powell. I'm curious, from your standpoint, first, what you make of that, but also, is there anything that Congress can do here?
Well, look, I think it's part and parcel of Donald Trump's approach. When he doesn't get what he wants, he takes his bullying to the next level. He's attempted to bully the Federal Reserve and Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell through the media and rhetorically for months now. That didn't work, so now he's ratcheted up the pressure and taken that bullying to the next level of threatening a absurd criminal prosecution. I was pleasantly surprised this morning by the bipartisan pushback. Some prominent Republicans here in Congress, in both the House and the Senate, calling out this action, saying that it's wrong. I think there's bipartisan support for the independence of the Fed here. I know in the Senate, there's an effort to hold up additional nominees to the Federal Reserve that President Trump wants and needs. I think we have to keep up that pressure. We have to look at ways to use the appropriations process to prevent the president from diminishing the independence of the Federal Reserve. And this is important to American families. If we don't have an independent Federal Reserve, the economic chaos created would be significant and will be yet another action by Donald Trump to drive up costs on hardworking American families. That's what the impact will be.
Yeah, it was interesting to see the bipartisan pushback today on Capitol Hill. Congressman James Walkinshaw, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And did Pete Hegseth